October is among us, and with that comes spooky season. Now, I am not a big spooky season girl. I am a true crime fanatic. I love the cozy vibes of spooky season, but spooky books and me, we don't just jive the same way that romance books and me jive. I have a lot of spooky books, but I don't really gravitate towards them. But when I do read them, I do enjoy them. So I thought it'd be fun to celebrate spooky season and Halloween by reading some of my more thriller, horror type books in the next week. I've got 3 here that we're gonna try finishing in the next week. We'll see how it goes. I want this video to be uploaded on Halloween, so happy Halloween. Hope you guys are having a fun and spooky day, and let me know what your favorite spooky book of the season was. Quickly, the 3 books that we have here, I have Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. I believe this is a psychological thriller type book. That's all I know about it. Heard really good things about it. Then we've got The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. I have read quite a few of his books. I don't think this is one that is very popular, but it's the only one of his I actually own, so I'm going to read it. If I end up not liking it, that's fine. I will donate it, but we're also going to read this, which this is also, I think, more of a thriller than a horror. Then we got Rouge by Mona Awad. I don't know if this constitutes as horror. Her books are definitely psychological and throw you for a loop. I don't know really much about this book, but I know she is a fantastic writer, and it's either you love her or you hate her. I've read Bunny by her. It was a ride, let me tell you that, and I'm excited for this one. So I'm going to attempt to finish these 3 in the next week. I think we're going to start with The House Across the Lake just because it is the least intimidating of the 3. Let me quickly read the synopsis so I can get a grasp of the story, and then I'll let you know. All right, so this book is about a woman named Casey Fletcher who kind of escapes her life and stays in her family's lake house in Vermont, and is a creep and kind of stalks her neighbors across the lake with binoculars. Then she kind of makes a friendship with the wife, Catherine, because she saves her from drowning. And then Catherine goes missing, and she starts thinking that it was the husband, Tom, who did something, but then it ends up being something else. That's what I can tell from the back of the story, so we'll see. This is kind of giving, what is that book? The Woman Across the Window, something like that. I read that book. It's giving that kind of vibe. All right, let's start this, and we'll come back here when I have some thoughts. I am almost halfway through The House Across the Lake. I'm on page 140. There's no chapters in this book, so I can't tell you what chapter I'm on, but I'm like 40-something% of the way through. I'm bored. I don't know. I am not really invested in the story. So we've met all the primary main characters. I would say there's about 5. So we've got Casey, we've got Tom, we've got, what's her name, Eleanor? Is it Eleanor? No, Catherine. We've got Eli, and we've got, what's his name? Starts with a B. Boone. So we've got our 5 characters here. Casey, I don't really like as main character. I think she is an unreliable narrator, especially because you find out really early on, so it's not a spoiler. I don't know if it's even written on the back, but she's clearly an alcoholic. And so I feel like because she is practically tipsy, drunk, whatnot in all of these scenes, she's very unreliable. But because she's the main narrator, you are getting her perspective on everything and her thought process. So I don't believe her when she says anything. I don't believe her point of view. I don't believe anything. And sometimes unreliable narrators are fun. They're annoying, they're frustrating, but it's fun. I'm not having fun. I just don't like her as a character. And I just don't see why she's so obsessed with these neighbors. She's known them for like 2 days, and she's obsessed. So that's how I feel about it so far. I'm gonna continue reading. It's not looking good. Not looking good from here. So let's see how it goes. I'm hoping it gets better. I'll probably talk to you all when I finish this book. I don't expect to have many other updates, but we'll see. And then we'll move on because I'm ready to move on. I think the last clip I filmed was in this exact position, so I apologize, but we finish The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager, whatever his name is. So my Cop rating is 3 stars, and I think I agree with that. I don't know. The turns that it took, I did not see coming for the most part, but I don't know if I really like the execution of them. I don't want to say exactly what the plot twist is like or where the story goes because it is not really marketed as that kind of book, so it is a surprise. It's not that I didn't like it. I'm fine with that type of twist, but I just don't really think it was executed well. But I also don't know what to say, like what would make it better. I just didn't really enjoy it. And honestly, Casey as a main character, I just didn't like her. And the things that she did while she was drunk the whole time, I'm sorry, it's so unrealistic. She drank and drank and drank and drank and was still so coherent to make all these decisions. It was a little bit outlandish and unbelievable. And I think that's what really impacted the way I felt because I was intrigued. Like, I still kept reading even though I was not loving it. So there's that. Like, it's not that it wasn't a page turner. I think it was. It just wasn't my type of thriller. And the ending, I was like, okay, let's move on now. I've seen very, very mixed reviews. I've seen 5 stars. I've seen 1 stars. It's kind of one of those things that you just have to read it to see if it'll work for you. But I don't know. Not something that really worked for me. I don't know if Riley Sager, whatever, really works for me. I feel like every year he comes out with a new book. I'm like, ooh, yay. But then when I read it, I'm like, wait, do I even like him? Do I even like his writing? Do I even like his books? I don't know. I think I've read around 3 of them or 4 of them. None of them have been 5 stars. I think it's usually between 3 and 4 star, which aren't bad ratings per se, but they're not very memorable. Then I started Rouge by Mona Awad. I got to chapter 6, so that's how many pages? 60 pages. So this book, you're following a girl named Belle or Mirabelle, and her mother dies. At her mother's funeral, she sees a woman in like a red coat, but then this woman disappears, but it's always on her mind. And then she gets these, like, I don't know, it kind of feels culty, like this kind of like calling in like video format, phone format, where they're like luring her in to get ultimate youthful beauty. This book has a lot of talk about beauty standards, and Belle is a woman who, her mother had very, very fair skin and was very beautiful, but she took on the traits of her father, so she has a darker toned skin. And so she talks about all the time like trying to like basically bleach her skin so that she's like pale and youthful and beautiful. And it's a heavy emphasis on that topic for now, at least, and I think it is a topic that this book covers. And so she is also in the middle of grieving her mom, and her mom left a shit ton of debt for her to deal with, and she didn't know about it. So she's kind of unpacking things and learning things about her mother that she never knew. But then you're also following along, learning about the beauty standards that she grew up kind of learning from her mother. So I'm really enjoying it so far. Like, I really, really like it. I think it's really well written. I love the writing, and so I am excited to see where this goes. So just a little bit into this book, and hopefully this is going to be a lot better of a rating than this book. So that's the update. I'm going to go continue reading now, and I'll talk to you all when I have another update for Rouge. Hi friends! I wanted to give an update because I finally finished Rouge, but we're in the kitchen because my camera is dying, so it's charging right now. I finished Rouge earlier today, and let me just tell you before I talk about this book, last night I read it before bed and I had the craziest dreams. Would not recommend, but I mean, Mona Awad does it again. This was such a mindfuck of a book, pardon my language. She always writes the most convoluted, crazy books that you don't know if you're supposed to take things literally or metaphorically, and that is literally this entire book. You don't know if you're supposed to take what she says, the characters she brings into the story literally or metaphorically, and this was so much fun. And the ending was like ambiguous. You literally could make up the rest of the story because it is all up to you for you to dissect and figure out what the ending really meant. So good. So I don't really want to go into much details about this book because I think the less you know, the better it is. But it is definitely a story all about beauty standards and craziness that is the business of beauty and how it infiltrates into women especially, but also men, and how it dictates and controls you, and no matter where you go you can't hide from it. And this was such a good play on that. And there were so many lines and references to other stories and fairy tales. There's some that I even missed. I went on Reddit after and I was looking at so many people's reviews and there were so many hints that I missed, but so many that I also caught on to. This was just masterfully written. I don't know what I'm gonna rate it. I've never even rated Bunny because I didn't know what to rate it, and I feel the same way with Rouge. I don't think it would be a 5-star, but it is very, very good and it is up there. So I will come back when I have a little bit more of an idea of what I would rate it, but great book. And if you've read Mona Awad and liked her book Bunny, I would recommend this. Even if you didn't like Bunny, I would try this one out because it is very different, and I think this one is a little bit easier to understand and grasp, and it feels more realistic than Bunny did. Now we're gonna start Dark Matter by Blake Crouch, I believe. I just have the book over there. I haven't started it yet, so we'll see how that goes. But 2 books down, 1 great book, 1 not so great book. So let's see what happens with Dark Matter. I wanted to pop in because I'm almost done with Dark Matter. I'm on page 282 and there's about 340 pages. So I have about 60 pages left. And I don't think I gave you all any updates. So you're following along a man named Jason who is married and he has a child, and he is a professor, but he is also was like a science prodigy growing up, and basically he becomes a professor because his girlfriend, now wife, ended up being pregnant, so it kind of halted both of their careers. And so he's kind of living life, doing his thing. Then he goes out for a drink with his friend, old roommate type situation, and gets kidnapped, is awoken, and is in a new world where he is like a science god, but it's not the world that he is used to living in or was living in, and he doesn't know what to do about it. So that's kind of the premise of the book. I'm sorry, my hair is so oily. And when I heard about this book, everyone was saying it was like a psychological thriller. It's the most like mind-bending thriller you'll ever read. So going into it, I was expecting something a little bit different, but alas, I quickly learned that it's definitely more of like a sci-fi. There are thrilling aspects to it, but I wouldn't say it is like a scary thriller. I'm not scared about this book, but I'm intrigued. I don't have any guesses as to what the ending is going to be for Jason. It has gotten a lot more convoluted, a lot more mind twisting, but I don't think it's a Mona Awad mind-bending book. And maybe I should have read this before Mona Awad, because after reading Rouge and then going into this is like nothing in comparison to the confusion that you feel reading Mona Awad books. But it is fast-paced. I would not say this is boring. It's very quick to read, a page turner, and yeah, let's see what happens. It is definitely also a book that makes you think about your own life and like the multiverse and reality and perception and all of those things. So it's been kind of cool to be in that kind of mind space and headspace and thinking about these things. But yeah, I'm going to continue reading. We're going to finish tonight and let's see what happens. I have finished Dark Matter. I'm going to give this 3.5 stars. I don't really recall what I said about it yesterday, but going into this book, I was under the impression that it was a very psychological thriller just based off of people, what they describe it as when they are recommending the book, talking about the book, whatever, right? And it's definitely like a soft thriller. It's not thrilling enough that your heart is really like rapidly beating. It is just, you know, a little bit intriguing enough that you want to continue reading the book and not put it down. It is definitely more of a sci-fi mixed with a romance. And so it's just a little bit not what I expected, but I still enjoyed it. I do think it was paced really well. I think the love in this story was really nice. And the overarching message of the story I really like. I just think it was emphasized and told to the reader so many times that it kind of made it redundant to the point where I was like, okay, I don't need you to repeat this sentence over and over again anymore. I get it. I also feel like there were so many side characters that you knew nothing about and I wanted to know more about, especially one female character later on in the story. I feel like she just disappeared and we never got to know her ending, but she did play at a pretty important part in a section of the book. So that was a little upsetting, for lack of a better word. I love the metaphysics part about it. I do wish that we got to learn more. It was kind of told to us briefly, but I feel like we really didn't get to dive deep into the science part of the sci-fi, and the ending was okay. That was Dark Matter, and now we have officially finished all 3 books. Look at them all put together. So we had a 2.5 star, a 3.5 star, and a 4 star. So not that bad. Could be a little bit better. No 5 stars, but I honestly did not expect these to be 5 stars. I thought maybe Dark Matter would be at least a 4 star, and then with Mona Awad I really didn't know, but I ended up giving that one 4 stars. So it's been fun. It's been definitely giving me all the spooky vibes that I need for Halloween. I actually though started reading Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood because I just needed something lighthearted in between all of these books, and I've been loving that. Thank you guys for spending what was, I think, a week and a bit together reading all of these books. Let me know what you're reading for Halloween this year, what you're reading for spooky season, and if you've read any of these books, let me know what your thoughts were about them, and if you have any recommendations for any spooky thriller books, please let me know and I will add it to my TBR. So thank you for spending this week with me again, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!
Lazy Sunday mornings, hiding under covers. I don't mind staying in with you. Play your favorite movie, laying right beside me. I don't mind when it's just